Does Philip Rivers' wife ever have her period, you think? Thank you.
We have
Thank
17
you for
subscribers, all 17 of them.
Yeah, we'd like to thank all 17 of you guys.
For religiously tuning in to Third Down Punt.
We are talking about the AFC West today.
I love this division.
We got the Raiders, Chiefs, Denver Broncos, underrated team, hot team right now on the rise, and the Chargers. We got the Raiders here. We got Derek Carr coming off a pretty solid year by his standards. They got their Tyreek Hill 2.0. Drew, do you want to talk about this guy at all?
Henry Ruggs.
Henry Ruggs, is that his name?
Love Henry Ruggs.
Oh,
of course you do.
Ted Ginn
absolutely
Jr. 2.0.
But he's not a deep threat, so how is he Ted Ginn Jr. 2.0?
Exactly. Then he's worse than Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn without a deep threat is Henry Ruggs. That's what you just said.
Ted Ginn has bad hands. Do you know how many career drops Henry Ruggs had in college?
Yeah.
4. He had 1 last year. Also, do you know? I want to point something out. Know how everybody is all over the Antonio Gibson, like 11 touchdowns and 70 touches, or 11 touchdowns, like 70 touches or whatever. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many touchdowns Henry Ruggs had on 98 career catches at Alabama?
24.
He did have 24 touchdowns. So one of every 4 catch was a touchdown for Henry Ruggs. This dude's super explosive. He has big hands, good hands. I think a lot of people are hyping up Bryan Edwards to kind of overtake him as like the true alpha. And you know what that reminds me of? Do you remember when Sammy Watkins got signed by the Chiefs and everybody was saying he was going to be the wide receiver 1 and Tyreek was going to be a gadget player?
No.
Do you mean you?
Me, yeah. But it wasn't just me. But that reminds me of the same situation. I think Bryan Edwards is a fine player, but Henry Ruggs is going to be, in my mind, a perennial wide receiver 1, starting not this year, he's going to be wide receiver 2 this year.
Perennial wide receiver 1.
But starting next year, he's going to be next Tyreek Hill.
Listen, I do like him, and I will say that his ceiling is Tyreek Hill. But
no, it is not Tyreek Hill.
He runs a pretty good route tree.
His ceiling is Deshaun Jackson.
He doesn't play like Deshaun Jackson. How is that his ceiling?
Deshaun Jackson, it runs a good route tree as well.
Deshaun Jackson runs curls and flies.
No, he's got
a
mean post route, bro. It's like his best route is his post route. No,
he's not the next Deshaun Jackson.
Here's why his ceiling is not Tyreek Hill. It's not even close to Tyreek Hill. First of all, he doesn't have a quarterback even near Patrick Mahomes. Second of all, he doesn't have the speed or the coordination, athleticism combination that Tyreek Hill has. And thirdly, he's not even the wide receiver 1 that was drafted by his team this year. Bryan Edwards is going to be the wide receiver 1 on this Oakland Raiders team by far and away. It's not even close.
You would think that.
No, so his breakout age. I
don't care about breakout.
His breakout age 17.8, which is legitimately the highest possible you can possibly be in the metric. That's the 100th percentile.
He's way better than Ruggs.
His dominator rating 94%, 94th percentile. Henry Ruggs never even broke out in college. I get offense different. He had a lot of mouths to feed on the offense. But you would think, as good as Nick Saban is at coaching, you would figure out a way to get your best players the ball the most. And he was routinely the 3rd and 4th option on that Alabama team. Not to his own fault, just because I think he's the type of player that's a little tougher to get involved consistently. Sure, 4, 5, 6 targets towards him per game. Maybe he'll make one of them 40, 50 yards, and it'll pop and it'll be a great football play. But fantasy-wise, I don't see a way to consistently get Henry Ruggs 12 targets. I don't see that happening.
So in your opinion, you think the wide receiver drafted in the 3rd round of the same draft, what was he, the 12th wide receiver drafted? Something like that. He might have been later than that because he was the 3rd round pick.
Yes.
He was like the 18th wide receiver drafted this year.
Yes.
Is going to be the wide receiver 1 over the first wide receiver taken in this class.
Yes. We'll move on. Because that's embarrassing.
It's tough to say that his ceiling isn't Tyreek Hill.
It is tough to say that.
Oh, yeah. You're right. It's tough to say that. Okay.
I think Derek Carr is actually a pretty good buy on this team.
I think he's a great buy.
I think he is too. He had the 9th highest QB rating last year.
Yeah, which speaks to, are we calling him a good coach? Are we calling Gruden, a good coach.
He's a good coach.
Gruden's a pretty good coach. Listen,
he's a good
Derek
football
Carr
mind.
is QB 31. I'll take him at that price.
Oh, without a doubt.
Between, I saw him up at like 24. I don't think I would take him there, but as low as 33, which I would definitely take him there. He's around
33.
the likes of Winston, Hurts, Trubisky, those players. I'll take him over
I would
all
definitely
of
take him
those
over all those
players.
guys.
He's got lots of new weapons. We were just talking about. I don't think Ruggs is going to be a bad player. I just think he's going to be the type of player who's going to be 750, 800 yards, maybe a couple seasons. He'll push for 1,000 yards.
People thought that about Tyreek.
And then you add Bryan
Same with
Edwards, Josh
touchdowns.
Jacobs in another year or in his second year. I think there's lots of weapons around Derek Carr for him to excel. Now, by Derek Carr standards, excel, I mean he's maybe going to push for high-end QB2, maybe QB low-end QB1, right around 12, 13-ish. But I like him this year. I think he's right around QB 15. If you can get him at a price of a low-end QB 3, essentially a QB 30, I'm definitely taking that.
His year with Amari and I forget who that other wide
Michael
receiver-
Crabtree.
Crabtree, yeah.
But
I think
he got
was
hurt.
I think he was a top 10
He was
quarterback.
Yeah,
11,
he
I
was an MVP
think.
candidate,
11.
but
Yeah.
he cried, and then he cried on the field, and then it all went downhill. Do you know last year Derek Carr had the 5th lowest average completed air yards per pass? The only players that had a lower is basically like how far the ball travels from a QB's hand to the receiver's hand. The only QBs that had lower averages than him were Drew Lock, who was a rookie, Devlin Hodges, who was a rookie, Mason Rudolph, who was a backup quarterback, and Teddy Bridgewater, who was Teddy Chuckdown.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk about is everybody's been hyping up Josh Jacobs receiving, and he said he's going to catch 60 passes.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Do you think he's going to do that with Lynn Bowden getting drafted in the 3rd and Jalen Richard, who is a good 3rd down back?
In 50, 60 passes. I'm hot on Josh Jacobs. Are you not?
You're just
I
hot on
love
everybody
Josh
on this
Jacobs.
team other than Henry Ruggs.
I'm not hot.
I know you're hot on Darren Waller, too. Do you want to talk about him?
Listen, the Darren Waller story is a great story. He beat addiction. That's incredible.
So did Josh Gordon.
Oh, yeah. Is
Did
he
he?
still being addicted all the time?
His brother died.
Darren Waller.
Hey, let's not besmirch Josh Gordon. He could be a
Darren
guest
Waller
on this
beat addiction
podcast.
to sign a big old fat boy contract. Now he's going to be set for the rest of his life because he was able to come back. But I'm going to digress. Darren Waller is a top 5 tight end. I don't think we need to talk about it. He's a tough player to talk about because not a lot of people are going to want to buy him.
tight end?
Yeah,
He is. It's tough to argue he's
easy.
not.
Not even
What
close.
do you mean?
Almo-
Top 5 tight end.
Yeah,
Like going forward or like just in general?
In
right
Dynasty.
now?
just in Dynasty.
You value him as a top 5 tight end.
Yeah.
I don't even value him as the number 1 tight end in this. He's on the number 2 tight end in this division.
Well, Travis Kelce is the number 1 tight
Noah
end
Fant's
overall.
better than him too.
He's not.
Ooh.
Noah Fant is in the conversation of maybe you would want him over Dynasty, but
Without a doubt. But that's
okay,
fine.
name 5 tight ends you'd rather have than Darren Waller right now.
Travis Kelce, George Kittle, T.J. Hawkinson, Zach Ertz.
That's 4.
This off the top of my
Noah
head.
Fant.
Noah Fant, Irv Smith,
Okay.
Austin Hooper.
Okay. We're going off the rails now. We're exposing.
No, I second that list completely. Darren Waller, top 15.
I'd give him
tight
top
end?
10, top 12 tight end. He has 1 year with no other targets on his team.
He had a great
Why
year,
do you
Drew.
think? Yeah,
Let's
an
not
amazing year. He
downplay
only
it.
had
Terrell
like
Pryor
4
had a good
touchdowns.
year on the Browns.
He had
Then when
over
they brought in
1,000
more
yards
weapons-
Drew,
receiving.
where has he had a chance before this?
Yeah, seriously. He's
Terrell
literally.
Pryor did the same thing on the Browns.
Why-
In the same kind of situation that Darren Waller was in last year.
All right, you're out on Darren Waller. That's fine. You're trash dynasty owner. Don't hate on me for all this started because I just wanted to talk about Josh Jacobs.
Hey, he's only started for 1 year, and he excelled in that year.
Where do you
If
have?
he excels again this year.
Where do you have Josh Jacobs then, running back wise? Where do you have him ranked?
He's like my running back 6 to 8. I like Josh Jacobs a lot.
Okay, that's about where I have him. I think that's a little higher than most people would have.
Do you
him.
have him higher than Miles Sanders?
I have him in the same tier.
Right there?
Even with the injury?
I have Miles Sanders a
The
little
hip
higher.
injury?
Yeah,
The lower body injury?
the
Yeah,
lower body.
The
Probably
week
ACL
to
type.
week injury that he has in August going into the COVID
Hey.
season in Dynasty is what we're
Hey.
concerned with.
I would rather have Josh Jacobs than Miles Sanders, but Miles Sanders is.
I think we should stop talking about the Raiders because it's been too much time to spend on this trash team. Their over/under is set at 7.5, though.
That's high for me.
I'm going under on that.
Yeah, fade the raid.
I'm gonna go over.
Yeah,
They
sure
have
you
a
are.
lot of new weapons on this team. And Derek Carr, chucks it down a lot, but he completes.
Hey,
like
Derek
his
Carr,
passes.
I mean, he's definitely not the issue with this team.
I think he might be one of the
Another
issues.
quarterback that's definitely not the issue is Patrick Mahomes. Moving on here to the Super Bowl winning Chiefs. This is a pretty decent team.
They're
as
pretty
far
decent,
as
yeah.
Dynasty.
Yeah, they're very decent.
I think Mahomes, it's no reason to even talk about for dynasty purposes.
Yeah, I had nothing to say about Mahomes.
I agree. What are you going to say?
I do think that he's going to go down when all said and done as the best quarterback in NFL history.
I think he's going to go out as the best player in NFL history.
He's
as
the
well.
most
if he keeps it up.
bust-proof pick in this draft, without a doubt.
Even
his arm talent's ridiculous.
Even if you're doing a non-Superflex Dynasty League, if you have a back of the first round pick, you have a quarterback for 15 years, you can just put into your lineup and not worry about it.
Can I say
Somebody did that with Andrew
my maybe
Luck
hot
before.
take? I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but for everybody out there, I want to say this, that Tyreek Hill is the wide receiver one. The wide receiver one. The dynasty wide receiver one.
That's not even that hot of a take.
No, just so our listeners know, we don't
Intermediate.
talk that much about what we're gonna. We talk about what we're gonna talk about, but don't go into the details.
Yeah.
I have here that he's the only wide receivers I might take over Tyreek are Nuck and Michael Thomas. And even then, I would, if you took Tyreek as your wide receiver one, I wouldn't even blink an eye.
Yeah, me neither.
He's the exact type of wide receiver
Actually,
that I like.
Nope.
The
He's
incredibly
made by Patrick. He's nothing but a deep threat receiver. The only reason he's able to get open is because Patrick
He
buys
broke out
so
with
much
Alex
time.
Smith.
Yeah, this is stupid.
He broke
this is
out with
nonsense.
Alex Smith.
Stop talking.
All right.
Listen,
I mean, I had to play devil's advocate.
he's even a monster in PPR. People think he's just this big play player. Listen, since his rookie year, starting there, he's gone catches for 83, 105, 137. 89 last year. He had only played 12 games, but he's pacing for 120. He's literally booking 115, 120 receptions, and he's the best deep threat, best big play receiver in the NFL.
He caught 137 catches 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He is the wide receiver one, and it's not even close. I think that it might be kind of close, but he is the exact opposite type of player as somebody like Michael Thomas.
He is.
And that's the thing that I love about him. He's explosive. Every time he touches the ball, it could completely change the game, whereas Michael Thomas just kind of goes out there, stands in the middle of the field, and they toss it to him, and he just catches it. He doesn't seem to have that big game-breaking playability like Tyreek Hill. Not to say he's not amazing, obviously, but
It's a chain mover.
Tyreek,
exactly.
Just quick stats: 3.2 yards of separation average, 10.2 catch radius, which is ridiculous for a guy that size.
Yeah, he's small.
Which really I think makes him sort of that X factor. He's able to go up and get. He's jumping with the big boys in double coverage.
He is. He's
and
That
coming
blows
down
my
with
mind.
touchdowns.
He's
yeah,
great.
He's awesome.
He's maybe one of the best. It's underrated because of him beating women, but he is truly. It is. It sounds funny to say, but he doesn't get a lot of hype because of his profile and background.
That's a good point. Yeah.
He legitimately is one of the best all-around athletes I've ever seen in my life. He'll just do a standing backflip, but like nothing. He's short and compact, built like a little tank. He's not like some skinny,
like 190 pounds.
slight guy. He's lightning quick, all-around, super coordinated.
He's built like a little tank. I saw him race. I think it was on Instagram. Nicole Hardman. He beat Nicole Hardman by like 4 yards in a 40-yard dash. Nicole Hardman's fast.
I wonder what his 40 time is now after a few
Probably
years
like
in the NFL.
3.9.
Yeah, probably 3.9.
Can I pop a hype bubble?
Pop
The Clyde Edwards airline or
You're gonna
airline, whatever
you're
you
gonna
pronounce
pop that bubble?
CH.
Please tell me how.
His price is insane to me. He's
Yeah,
looking
it
at
is. That's
ADP in the early second round if you're looking at a 12-man draft. He's looking at right around the turn, maybe a few picks after that. Come on now. He's got one good college year tied. Now, I guess he's tied to the best quarterback in the NFL now, but that one good college year, he was tied to the best quarterback in NCAA history and kind of went along for the ride. He had a great season, no doubt about it, but it wasn't like the most spectacular season you've ever seen, and he was a part of the best offense in the NCAA. And I don't know, his ADP is literally right around players like, excuse me, come on, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, George Kittle, AJ Brown, Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay is 8 spots lower than Clyde. And Kenny Galladay just led the NFL in touchdowns last year with David Blau as his quarterback.
And he missed a couple games.
And Jeff Driscoll So
Driscoll's really
go ahead
good
and
in
take your
college.
Clyde and watch him split carries and only be a fringe Dynasty one running back, like, I don't know, right around 10 or 12.
Well, he does have a pretty big workload built in this year with
Probably because
Damian
Damian.
Williams sitting out. I do want to say one thing. I somewhat agree with you that the hype bubble is getting a little ridiculous.
Come on, it's crazy.
But he is a really, really good receiver. And that's the thing that I liked about him in college, was not a lot of college running backs get featured in the passing game, but he was featured heavily in the passing game at LSU.
Listen,
He
here
does
are
have that going for him.
here are the rookies that deserve to go that high in startup drafts. Players like
Saquon was like
Leonard Fournette, Saquon, Zeke, those players that not only check the, oh, they are amazing, everything, and they are going to a good situation, but they're an elite, absolute elite player at their position coming in. That's not Clyde. You put Clyde anywhere, and he's probably going to be good. I like Clyde. I really do. I was hoping to get him a little later in the draft, actually, in the first round. That was kind of one of the players I was targeting when he went to the Chiefs. I obviously thought there was no chance of that, but he's not the bust-proof player. He's just in the bust-proof situation. So if he's even slow or slow out the gates or treading water, you're immediately losing value on him because you're taking him so high.
Yeah. Hey, camp reports do say he looks really, really good, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt he's going to be good. I'm just, like I said, you're buying him at his ceiling. He has to come out and put up 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns for him to pay off at that price. Otherwise, he's going to be pushing for, like, what? If he puts up RB 12 numbers, is it worth paying late end startup draft first round pick for him?
And here's my thing with Clyde is in college, I didn't think he was a great runner. I think his value came from the passing game. So to me, he's going to have to be like an Alvin Kamara level pass catcher for him to reach this ADP that he's at right now. So, I mean, he obviously could do it. He's elusive with the ball, and he has really good balance.
He
There's
has some
something
of
to
the
be
best
said
balance
being
I've
on the
ever
best
seen.
offense
and
as well.
he's in the best offense.
They're going to
and
score a lot.
If they use him like they use Kareem Hunt, it'll be worth it. But I don't know. I might take a shot at one of my redraft leagues for him. But unless you have the 101 in a Dynasty rookie draft, you're not going to be able to get him.
Yeah, that's true. Same with, I mean, that's this team as a whole. They have top end quarterback, top end wide receiver, top end tight end, now top end running back. So this is the fantasy team that I guess you want to be investing in moving forward. Their over-unders actually set at the highest in the NFL, along with the Baltimore Ravens at 11.5. You guys both, if you remember, said over on the Baltimore Ravens 11.5. Do you guys both think the Chiefs are going to also be over 11.5?
I think the Chiefs are going to win 12.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs
still
are
win
an even safer bet than Baltimore.
Me
I
too.
think they'll go 13-3.
I said that the Ravens would be under, if you remember. I think the Chiefs will be over. I think they're going to push for like a 15-1, 14-2 season if we play the whole season.
Well, before we move on, who do you think is going to have a better year this year receiving out of Mecole Hardman and Sammy Watkins?
I like Sammy.
Probably Sammy.
Mecole Hardman's getting a lot of hype.
Problem is he's so inconsistent, but
he is. He's inconsistent, and injuries always
Can I
linger
say
with him. But
Ty?
he's really good with the ball in his hands.
Like Ty?
I guess.
The wide receiver 1 is Tyreek.
Yeah.
The wide receiver 2 is Travis Kelce.
Yeah. And Sammy
In some
Watkins
cases,
is-
he's even wide receiver 1.
What
And
do
then
you
the wide
think
receiver 3 is going to be Clyde, really.
Cortland Sutton would be on this team.
Cortland Sutton.
On Denver, should we move on to the Denver Broncos, led by second-year player Drew Lock, who played 5 games last year and won 4 of them. Got pretty lucky to do so, though.
I love my fellow Drew.
Yeah, I like Drew Lock too. I made some moves in him for the offseason to acquire him and then consequently sold him actually. Between these 3 players, I bought him from Vasso and then sold him to Drew in our 12-man league. So I flipped a nice profit, but I was struggling to trade him, honestly, because I do like him. I love his upside. Here's what my problem, and this is why I sold him. I think his hype is getting to the point where it's surpassing his value, and it's to the point where it's now a risky investment to be investing in Drew Lock. Before, when I was originally buying him before they drafted, Hamler and Judy and got Melvin Gordon, it was more of a upside buy. Now it seems like you're buying him as a player that's going to be a starter moving forward, which is tough to count on because though he was productive at Mizzou, he has inaccuracy issues. But I do like him. I don't want to count him out at all. I see a steep learning curve ahead of him, and he's probably going to struggle this season because, like Vasso said, he only played in 5 games last season, so he didn't get very much experience. This is like a pseudo rookie year almost for him. So
Kind of.
he's got a hot offense around him. I say expect good things because he is a gunslinger, but I don't know. I would say maybe temper expectations because he is inaccurate from time to time and inconsistent, I think.
So I am all in on Drew Lock. There's a couple reasons why. The first reason is, and I think QB rating is a very overrated and overused stat, but he did lead all rookies in QB rating.
You said it's an overrated and overused stat. That's the second time
just cut yourself
in the past
down before
15
you
minutes
even...
that you've used that stat.
I know, but I think it has some value. It's still an advanced stat that's measured that uses to measure quarterbacks, so it has a little bit of value.
Still too small of a sample size for
I'll
me
allow it.
in 5 games.
Yeah, that's what I agree.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I mean it has some value, and it's not end all be all with quarterbacks. But the other thing is who was the breakout quarterback last year? Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And what did he do his first year in the league?
Played 5 games?
Yeah, he
Sat behind Joe Flacco.
Who was the breakout quarterback 2 years ago?
Patrick Mahomes.
And what did he do his first year in the league?
Sat behind the
Alex Smith. So what did Drew Lock do last year?
You and your anecdotal trends are garbage.
He was-
thinking
I'm
that
just
Darrell
saying.
Henderson
He was
is going to
on
be the next
IR until,
Devontae
like,
Freeman
week
too.
7.
Yeah,
So-
and he sat out and
He
learned
wasn't
behind
practicing.
Joe Flacco.
He wasn't practicing.
He was still visualizing
Lamar
it behind Joe
and-
Flacco.
No.
Patty were practicing.
I'm just
that's
saying
a huge
he's
difference.
following the trend of second-year breakout quarterbacks.
True.
And if any of the quarterbacks broke out big in their second year, he'd be my bet for it.
I don't think that's a fair comparison because Patrick Mahomes was sitting behind Alex Smith. Drew Lock was hurt and then came in and took over for Joe Flacco.
After Joe Flacco got hurt. So I don't know if he would have taken over necessarily if Joe Flacco didn't
Maybe.
dislocate his neck last year.
All right, I need to talk about the real buy on this offense, and that's KJ Hamler. Okay,
Hamler.
He's the best player that you could buy on this offense. You know, this is a pretty hot and upcoming offense.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of wants a part of it. And there's some very valuable pieces. We just talked about Drew Lock. Cortland Sutton obviously boomed last season. Jerry Jeudy's going in the early first of rookie picks. Melvin Gordon is now hot. And Noah Fant, as we talked about, Drew thinks he's a top 5 tight end because he's had like one 80-yard catch for a beastly touchdown. But I digress there. KJ Hamler is the player that you want. Good dominator, great breakout age. He's a solid draft profile in the second round. He's shifty, incredible ability to change pace. He had good college production. I do not think the film on KJ Hamler lies. I think he's going to be a stud in the NFL. And maybe a little bit of a learning curve. I think we have to take a step back and temper expectations because if we're here going to be getting him in a rookie draft. But I'll take KJ Hamler at a mid-second round pick over the Jerry Jeudy at a mid to early first round pick. I think KJ Hamler has similar upside to Jerry Jeudy, obviously not the floor, but I think he's going to excel at the slot receiver. I think Drew Lock is going to look for him. He's great at getting separation, which is exactly what Drew Lock kind of needs because, like I said, he's a little inaccurate. So the players that are going to be wide open are going to be better targets for Drew Lock.
Hamler was one of the guys I was targeting in this draft. Obviously didn't fall to me, but I absolutely love this kid. He looks super shifty in space, great at catching the ball. I just the ceiling is the sky for this kid. Could be another Antonio Brown.
Here, I mean, obviously we watch Big Ten football, so we know KJ Hamler is really good at Penn State. The thing is, I liked him coming out of college. He's really athletic, really shifty, like you said, with the ball in his hands and knows how to make plays. But at best, he's a 5th option on this team. He's behind Melvin Gordon, behind Jerry Jeudy, behind
Phillip
Cortland
Lindsay.
Sutton, behind Noah Fant. Phillip Lindsay's going to get some things. He's going to get some touches.
Hey, Phillip Lindsay.
So, I mean,
better than Melvin Gordon.
He's very different than all of those players that you just named.
But you can only...
That's not true.
You can only produce
Situationally,
so many pieces.
yeah, I know, but
in a team.
situationally, he's going to be more involved than other players, and that's the key to getting playing time. See, a player like Hakeem Butler, I'll bring up for example, has a very tough time getting on the field in the Arizona Cardinals because who are the players that he's positionally competing against now? DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald. If he had a niche skill set that allowed him to get on the field more like a Christian Kirk type player, he could feast more. Christian Kirk is nowhere near the receiver Larry Fitz and DeAndre Hopkins are, but Christian Kirk can excel in his role even though there's a lot of mouths to feed on that offense. That's just what I'm saying about KJ Hamler. He's not their big play player. That is their Cortland Sutton. And Noah Fant. He's not their Melvin Gordon. I don't think is going to be. I want to talk about him and Philip Lindsay in a second. But I just view KJ Hamler, and like I said, I'm tempering expectations on him. But I think 50, 60 catches for 700 yards is a decent. Would be a solid rookie year for him. I think that wouldn't be too far off.
It'd be a good rookie year for anybody.
That'd be an amazing rookie year.
Exactly. A good rookie year for Jerry Jeudy in this offense.
Okay, so what are we thinking receiving yards are going to go around? Cortland Sutton's going to push for probably 1,000, right?
Yeah, probably going to have around 1,200. Noah Fant probably have 700 to 800.
That's pretty high for both of them, I think.
Hey, he had almost 1,200 last.
Can I tell you? Can I give you some stats?
Yeah, but Drew Lock
wasn't.
Joe Flacco was throwing to him for 12 of the games.
I don't know. KJ Hamler reminds me a lot of Tavon Austin because he was used that way in college as well. He was used all over the field and was more of an offensive weapon in college.
I think he's a much better route runner.
I disagree, yeah. No, they're not the same. Tavon Austin was raw. KJ Hamler is refined. Very refined.
He's going to be a punt returner. He's going to catch 2 passes a game, maybe 3 passes a game, maybe 3.
They spent a second-round pick on the guy.
Yeah.
He's going to
have an early second-round pick.
He's still, at best, a 5th option in this offense.
You're just not thinking of it. If you take a pie and you divide up targets like that, yes, you're right. I could see how KJ Hamler comes out on the short end of the stick. But situationally, when you are going for a 3rd down and 3 and you need someone to run the Cole Beasley type route, you're not having Cortland Sutton or Noah Fant run that route usually. That's a KJ Hamler route. That's a situational target.
That's what I got Jerry Jeudy for.
You don't think that all the focus, like Jerry Jeudy is going to be the defense's like primary focus? Maybe Cortland Sutton, but it's probably going to be like 1A and 1B as to who you're covering. That's my point in KJ Hamler. I think KJ Hamler could have just as good of a rookie season as Jerry Jeudy.
That's crazy to me.
I would take Jerry Jeudy over him, no doubt, but at their prices, I would take KJ Hamler over Jerry Jeudy. You're getting him in the mid-second probably of rookies versus an early first.
I think Hamler's going to be a prime example of somebody who's more valuable to a real NFL team than he is a fantasy team. Maybe. I don't think he's going to have 60 catches his rookie year.
Hey, real quick here on Cortland Sutton. He had 124 targets last year, and he had 25% of his team's target share, which is ridiculous. I mean, Christian McCaffrey only had 22%, which is also ridiculous. That should be higher.
Running back.
25% of their target share accounted for 35% of the team's yards. I think he's a sneaky top 10 wide receiver.
Can you say regression?
He might regress this year. Who knows? There's so many more players coming in. Last year, he was sort of the only threat on the team. But
him and rookie Noah Fant,
Cortland Sutton is the only person that has grown with Drew Lock over the past year.
Noah Fant did it?
No, sorry, Noah Fant. I'm just talking in terms of the receivers. Melvin Gordon's new. Firstly, Melvin Gordon. I don't know why they signed him to $16 million on 2 years, but I just think Sutton has the easiest path to a wide receiver 1 in this offense, and I expect him to be.
Cortland Sutton reminds me a lot of Allen Robinson, and a lot of their advanced stance are similar. So I think he's going to float like Allen Robinson.
Yeah, that's
where
fair.
Some years he might be in the top 10 pushing it, but I think he's going to float around like wide receiver 12 to 20 every year.
Yep.
And I think that's where he's going to finish again this year. He was wide receiver 19 last year. But, I like him.
I think he'll be right around like 15, 17.
Yeah, I feel like the owners for Cortland Sutton, though, are going to sell him as a top 10 wide receiver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to buy him.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay.
I'm taking Philip Lindsay.
I'm taking Philip Lindsay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm taking Melvin Gordon.
Listen, Melvin Gordon just has never, in my opinion, had it. He's the type of player that is...
He's a volume guy.
Yeah, because he breaks them. He's a good athlete. He's similar, and that does not make a good running back. A good athlete is someone who, when he gets the ball in space, he can make electric plays. That's Melvin Gordon. Philip Lindsay is a damn good runner, and especially where you're getting him at his ADP in Dynasty, non-superflex, so just regular standard, his ADP is right around 100. That's getting him with the likes of A.J. Green, Kerryon Johnson, Tyler Higbee, Denzel
Not
Mims.
Even close for me.
Like all of those people. And I would take Philip Lindsay over all of them because Philip Lindsay has top 15 running back upside.
Philip Lindsay has 2,000-yard seasons coming in as an undrafted free agent behind the the guy that they drafted,
Yeah,
Royce
exactly.
Freeman.
Yep.
Royce Freeman's a trash can.
Yeah.
Royce Freeman is a trash can, but this guy has proven that he can be. I was honestly surprised to see them pick up Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, but Philip Lindsay proved that he wasn't a good third down back.
He's Philip Lindsay, and I think they complement each other actually kind of well. I think that Philip Lindsay is going to be the more running back, and Melvin Gordon is going to be the more receiving back. Philip Lindsay will probably get maybe 10 to 12 carries per game and maybe just a few receptions. Melvin Gordon will get 10 to 12 carries, maybe a couple more because he's the primary back, quote unquote, and maybe 5 or 6 targets as opposed to the 2 or 3. I don't know. I don't want to invest in either one of them, really.
Neither do I.
Because it seems like that's a tough offense because there's so many moving parts, as we've already talked about, and they're going to compete with each other, and it could just be week to week who's hot. That just could be what they do. Maybe this week Philip Lindsay gets 18 carries and 8 catches. Next week, that's Melvin Gordon.
Just looking at the stats, Philip Lindsay's averaged almost 5 yards a carry.
Oh, he's a good runner.
He's a really good runner.
Oh, yeah. And
he's tiny, though.
Melvin Gordon has only had over 4 yards per carry once in his career.
Yeah, we tell you that all the time.
Yeah, he used to be
Yeah. But I can
holding his
totally
pom-poms.
see
Hey,
Melvin
we're not
Gordon
going to talk about that
3
Melvin
months.
Gordon trade now.
Yeah,
talk
you
about-
made out well on that.
I want to talk about one other person.
Okay.
His name is Noah Fant.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about him a little bit. I obviously think he's amazing. Do you know who in all of the NFL had more yards? So not just yards after catch. It's yards after catch per reception. To take volume out.
Drew,
of it.
can you talk into the mic a little bit?
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Do you know who in the NFL had more yards after catch per reception than Noah Fant?
George Kittle.
No, Noah Fant had a yard more than he did. Only AJ Brown, and AJ Brown's seen as like a running back and a wide receiver, or a wide receiver in a running back's body. He had the same yards after catch per reception as Deebo Samuel, who is also seen as an amazing yak guy.
Mm-hmm.
But Noah Fant is 6'4", gained 15 pounds in the offseason to go to 255.
I like that
and
a lot.
everybody on his team is saying he didn't lose any speed. So he's 6'4", 255, runs a 4.5 40.
Okay, he
is
had
quick
to
for
lose
his
some
size.
speed.
People are saying he didn't lose speed. That's what Drew Lock said. That's what all of his coaches. I mean, it's coach speed.
Yeah.
But regardless if he lost speed, he was 6'4",
No, and 15
255
pounds
and runs a
isn't
4.6.
like a ridiculous amount to add in an
Yeah, especially if it's
offseason
lean
either.
muscle. And last year he had 40 catches, 560 yards, and 3 touchdowns, which is a really good year for a
Yeah,
rookie tight end.
especially for a tight end. Listen, Drew Lock. Not Drew Lock. Drew Lock
Oh my god.
is a good quarterback.
Okay.
I like Drew Lock,
We
but
just
I
had this conversation like 5
Noah.
minutes ago.
Noah Fant. He could have that trajectory to just be the next Travis Kelce or something.
I could see him taking a George Kittle-like leap in year 2. His rookie year was very similar to George Kittle.
You want to know who Noah Fant is remarkably similar of a player to?
George Kittle.
Darren Waller. He is not similar to George Kittle.
No, he's not. He's not the blocker that George Kittle
Yeah,
is.
George Kittle is the best tight end in the NFL. Noah Fant isn't even in the conversation. He
will be after
He's
this
just
year.
a great receiving tight end.
He will be after this year.
All right, the Broncos over-under is at 8 wins.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think the hype train's getting out of control, but
Yeah, I'll take the under.
I think they're going to be at 8 wins. So I guess I'm going to take a push.
Okay.
I can see them going 500.
I just think this division is kind of weak, honestly. Outside
The
of
Chargers
yeah.
are a sneaky team.
Yeah, they are.
Herbert had a great few years in college. They took him top 10.
yeah.
They could be the team that wins this division this year.
No, they can't. No, they can't.
They are not
Imagine
going to be.
Justin Herbert going head-to-head with Patrick Mahomes and you taking Justin Herbert.
I don't see how they win this division. To be
No,
honest.
they're not winning this division. Tyrod Taylor, Justin Herbert's not even going to start week 1. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter.
Yeah, he might
Yeah.
even finish the season as the starter. I
He
think
might.
Tyrod
No, he
is.
won't.
You don't think Tyrod the God's good enough to finish the
Tyrod
season
is
as the
good,
starter?
man.
No.
Justin Herbert's not some refined quarterback coming to the NFL.
That's fine.
I don't know. I think the only way
I'd draft quarterbacks in the top 10 to let them sit behind Tyrod Taylor for a whole year too,
Mahomes
right?
sat for a whole
Behind
year.
Alex Smith, a good quarterback that was leading them to the playoffs. They were competing for a Super Bowl the year Alex Smith was playing. Of course, they're not going to play Patrick Mahomes.
That's fair. Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years.
Behind Brett Favre as they were competing for Super Bowls.
So I don't understand where Tyrod Taylor's not in the same conversation as them.
Yeah, why isn't Tyrod being mentioned with the Brett Favre?
Sammy Watkins had his best career season with Tyrod Taylor. I'm just saying. No, realistically, I think Justin Herbert's probably going to
I like how Drew relates everything back to Sammy Watkins.
Or freaking Josh Gordon.
I think Justin Herbert will probably become the starter by like week 8.
Yeah.
Much like
fair.
I think he's going to have like a Drew Lock season, like rookie season. They're kind of similar quarterbacks too, honestly. But I don't know. I mean, like Justin Herbert was clearly number 3 in this class. Unless you want, like, I guess somebody could argue Jordan Love over him, but I wouldn't do that.
I think Justin Herbert's similar to Josh Allen.
I think he is too.
He's gonna be
maybe not as mobile, but
he is mobile. Watch him play. He's mobile. He's
not as mobile as Josh Allen.
He is.
Josh Allen's like a white Cam Newton.
Yeah, I know. He's not quite as athletic, but he's just as mobile. He can't he's overpowering or jump as high, but he is. He moves around and he runs the ball a lot. Actually, I think a little too much. I think sometimes he checks it down and runs a little too much. I like him. I think he's a good buy. I think he's falling in some rookie drafts just because there's hype around Burrow and Tua and all the other players in the draft. So I think he's a good one. But what I want to talk about on this team is the wide receiver core. I want to start off by saying Keenan Allen is the wide receiver 1, but not for long.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding. Keenan Allen's going to probably still be the wide receiver 1, but look out. It's Mike Williams season coming up.
Oh my God.
For the LA Chargers.
I don't think
He's
Mike
the wide
Williams
receiver
has
you
the
hate.
skill set.
Listen.
You hate his skill set.
How do I hate his skill set?
You hate physical receivers who don't separate from the
That's
defensive
not
backs.
true.
That's why you didn't like T. Higgins that much.
No. I
Yeah.
like big play receivers. That's what tickles my jimmies. That's
So
what
you
gets me
so
going.
You don't like the kind of receiver Cortland Sutton is.
I like Cortland Sutton. But
He's
no,
a better version of Mike Williams.
Yeah, a little bit,
Same
But
with
here's the
Kennedy.
difference: is you're buying Cortland Sutton right now as
That's
a
a
top
good
10
point.
wide receiver. You're buying Mike Williams at what, wide receiver 30 or something? Who knows? Last year he had, talking about big plays, only 49 catches and 1,000 yards, and that's
That
with
is nuts.
that's with little baby arm Rivers tossing him the ball, who was half dead the whole season. Doing checkdowns, and Herbert's
Probably having more children.
Herbert's got a big arm.
yeah.
I know he checks it down a lot because that was the Oregon offense, but he's got a big, strong arm. I think he's going to favor a player like Mike Williams. Now, Keenan Allen, like I said, terrific route runner, but look at the target share between the two last year. Mike Williams had 90 targets. Keenan Allen had 149. I don't expect
Not even close.
there to be a 60 target difference between these two again next year. Phillip Rivers, you want to know why he targeted Keenan Allen so much? Because he had a dead arm and he knew that Keenan Allen would be open at this exact point on the field at this route because of how good of a route runner he is and how long they played together. Justin Herbert will not know that Keenan Allen is open 100% of the time at this point of the route. Phillip Rivers knew that. So Phillip Rivers could noodle arm the ball over there at 4 miles an hour and land it exactly where he knew Keenan Allen would be wide open. Justin Herbert doesn't have the IQ, the experience, or the football savvy to do that at this point of his career. He's going to be much more trusting of a Mike Williams, big body. I'm going to go up and get it even if it's not a great throw, because Keenan Allen relies more, not to say that he's not an amazing wide receiver, but he relies more on accurate passes because of him being open all the time. That's kind of weird to say, but Mike Williams just relies on going to get the ball. So I think his targets are going to be bumped up to maybe 100, 110. Keenan Allen's is going to fall from 150 to maybe like 130, and it's going to be much closer to a 1A, 1B. So I'm buying Mike Williams on this offense. Keep in mind, they took him top 10 in the NFL draft. He was hurt his rookie year.
That almost means nothing at this point.
Yeah.
That's
though.
not true. It means nothing if he hasn't done anything, but he has. His rookie year, he was hurt, so throw that out the window. His second year, he was decent. His third year, he broke 1,000 yards. He has progressed every single year. He went from injured, not playing, to okay, to a pretty good player given a small target share. So I'm buying him all day. This is the player that I want on this offense, at least. And he's still only 25. He's literally
I'm taking
entering his
Keenan
prime.
Allen. He's just such a better all-around receiver for me than Mike Williams, that he does command such a higher target share. I think he's the wide receiver 1, and I think he's the wide receiver 1 to stay.
I agree. I feel like Keenan Allen's the most underappreciated wide receiver 1 in fantasy and real football.
Do you guys not understand my assessment of how Phillip Rivers was so?
Oh no, I understand.
It's similar to why Michael Thomas excels with Drew Brees.
Yeah, all timing routes.
Exactly. Drew Brees doesn't have a great arm, so he has to rely on exactly when Peyton Manning was throwing those 50-plus touchdowns. If you watch him play, his balls had no zip on them at all. They were all perfectly timed because he knew where his players were going to be. That's how Phillip Rivers is playing. When you have a player like Keenan Allen, that is the perfect player for Phillip Rivers. That's why this target share is very skewed, in my opinion.
I don't know.
I think it's going to come closer.
There was
together.
a report. Justin Herbert told Keenan that his job was to get Keenan the ball during games. So I think they're already building that rapport. And that's actually a real thing. I saw that on Twitter. That was a real thing.
That's a real thing. I saw it on Twitter.
I mean, Keenan Allen's getting drafted as like a wide receiver 20, and he hasn't finished outside of wide receiver 12 since he lacerated his spleen 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I would take Keenan Allen over Mike Williams. Don't get me wrong. That's not the question that I'm having. I would sell Keenan Allen for Mike Williams plus, though, if you could get a return of something decent on top of that. I don't know what you'd get.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Like a first, I would take Mike Williams and a mid-first next year for sure over Keenan Allen.
I don't know if a rookie quarterback's just going to be tossing it into coverage, just hoping Mike Williams.
I'm not saying he's just going to be tossing it into coverage.
That's what you had to do to Mike Williams.
No, I mean, not
Mike
really.
Williams
You act like he doesn't know how to run routes or be a refined receiver.
Like,
That's
no,
not
he
true at all.
catches-
His best play
catches in
last year
traffic.
is when there was I don't know who it was, but a cornerback was on his hip and he made a one-handed diving catch. That was his best play last year, but he didn't get separation. Just made an insane throw.
So you picked his best play and said he didn't get separation on his best play, so that means he doesn't get separation?
I mean, I'm just saying. That's like every single Mike. It's like every single Mike Williams catch, just him going up to muscle over defense.
I agree. He's
and a rookie quarterback's not going to want to have to rely on that.
He's not going to want to, but when he's got to
less
throw it somewhere.
Allen's
He's less
wide
reliable
open,
than
12
Keenan,
yards
too.
down the field.
We'll see.
He's just going to zip it to Keenan Allen for a
Listen,
wide open wide receiver.
Do you
That's
guys
not-
remember
he doesn't-
when Keenan just
Being
ran over the Lions?
Believe it or not, as a quarterback, you don't really see the wide open receiver that often. You know they're wide open based on the coverage and the route that the receiver's running, so you throw it there. So I'm not sure that Justin Herbert is going to have that processing ability to know that Keenan Allen is going to be wide open right here, right now.
No, but he comes from an offense, like all spread offenses in college football, where it's a one-read offense.
Yeah.
And Keenan Allen's always going to be his first read, 90% of the time.
Yeah, maybe.
And Keenan Allen's always
It might be
open.
Austin Eckler a lot. I'm interested in buying some Austin Eckler.
Do you know Austin Eckler had he had Devontae Adams receiving year last year? He had 92 catches for 992 yards.
Nice.
It's like Devontae Adams every year with 3 997-yard seasons. And he had 8
might be
touchdowns.
better than Devontae Adams.
He might be. He finishes the running back 4 with only 550 rushing yards.
Yeah, he was great.
It's insane.
That's pretty funny.
I think he's a great underrated back. I think if you have him as your RB2, you're pretty set. He's going to be check down Charlie. He's going to be Justin Herbert and Tyrod Taylor's best friend. And then on top of that, he's a good rusher. He's a good, hard runner. And I don't see that many people in this backfield competing with him.
Justin Jackson's a sneaky
He's athletic.
good rusher.
He was really good at Northwestern.
Yeah, I think he's going to start to eat into that load of Eckler just a little bit this year.
Hunter Henry.
Oh,
I'm out.
I saw him at
I'm out
tight end
too.
6.
I saw that too.
That's ridiculous.
Blew my mind.
Tight end 12, maybe.
Never stayed healthy.
I would-
he was
Yeah, that's
good when he
my
was
issue.
healthy.
Yeah, he's good when he's
Never
healthy. I
stays
would take him
healthy.
around tight end 12. I think he's got upside and he's got you're getting good value there, but not tight end 6,
Yeah,
especially if Drew thinks Darren Waller is going there.
Darren Waller. You mean Noah Fant?
No, you said Noah Fant was top 5, so that would put Darren Waller at tight end 6.
I don't think Darren Waller's tight end 6.
Yeah. That blows my mind. You think he's even lower than that?
Yeah, I think
is...
he's like tight end 10. I think he's right around Hunter Henry.
So who else is better than him then?
Off the top of my head, I can't. If I looked at the list of all tight ends, I would tell you. Off the top of my head, I was able to name 5.
This is a personal vendetta because Adam has Darren Waller. So
Darren Waller's been my dreamboat since our startup draft. He was a rookie. I drafted him.
Go through the ADP for tight ends.
Hang on, just give me a
I
second
won't
here.
troll.
the Chargers, what's their over-under, do you think, Drew?
I would think their over-under's 5.5.
I was going to say 5. They're not that bad. They weren't even that bad with
Their
Phillip.
over-unders at 7.5.
7.5.
Interesting.
I'll take the
The Broncos are at 8, the Raiders 7.5, and the Chargers 7.5. So basically, they say the Chiefs are going to
Wow.
run away with the division. The other 3 teams are going to just muddle around in the water.
I mean, that's true.
I'll take the over on the Chargers.
I'm taking the under for sure.
I'll take the
I
under.
think they could be an 8 and 8,
They do have
9
a
and 17.
solid defense.
All right, here's the tight ends. Let me just run down. Starting at 1, I just went to Fantasy Pros because, like I said, a lot of other ones have paywalls, whatever. George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Zach Ertz, Evan Ingram,
I didn't say Mark Andrews. That's another one.
Hunter Henry, Darren Waller at 7, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki, Dallas Goedert, Austin Hooper, Higbee, Irv Smith, and then who cares?
I'd put him.
It's
I
muddy.
would move Hooper up. I don't know how he's wide.
Yeah, I
receiver.
would-
don't
I
know
would
how he's
move
tight end
Hooper up
12.
a little bit.
I guess there's a lot of mouths to feed, but if
You
you think
think-
KJ Hamler's going to feed, it's going to feast as a 5th option.
What?
Hooper's going to feast as the 3rd option on that squad.
You're talking total different expectations. I'm not buying KJ Hamler to be a top 12 wide receiver. I'm buying him to be a top 50 wide receiver his rookie year, maybe.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, I would put him at tight end 10. I don't know what your point was of just proving my point.
So you're putting him behind Evan Ingram?
No, I would move some people up.
So who? Noah Fant,
Noah Fant, obviously.
And TJ Hawkinson.
TJ Hawkinson.
Dallas Goedert.
No, I'd put him in the
Mike
same.
Gesicki?
No, I'd put him in the same grouping as them, though. I'm telling you, Darren Waller just had a Terrell Pryor season. What did Terrell Pryor do after that amazing year that he had?
That's not true.
Yeah.
What did he do?
What did he do? What did he do?
So
What did he do?
You could legitimately say that about
There's a lot of players like that.
Adam Thielen had
Yep.
a Terrell Pryor season.
He's
What's your
had 2
point?
seasons like that, though.
Everybody has a Terrell Pryor season until they do it again. That's my point.
Dude,
That's a terrible anecdotal
No,
piece
it's
of
not.
evidence
I'm saying that
to
he
just
was a
randomly
one-year
compare.
wonder. How is it so hard to believe that Darren Waller could be a 1-year wonder?
I'm not saying that
He could be.
he could be a 1-year wonder, but to say he had a Terrell Pryor year because Terrell Pryor did it is the worst argument
I
possible.
didn't say that.
because
Because he was in the same situation that Terrell Pryor was in.
so
when
many
Terrell Pryor
Allen
exploded.
Robinson.
Has done it twice. He's finished a top 10 wide receiver twice.
Before he did it twice, when he had 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns, had he done it twice at that point, Drew,
and people
he
were
did it
people
once.
were calling him a one-season wonder.
No, they were not. They were legitimately drafting him as a
in
top 10 dynasty wide receiver.
Allen Robinson for a year. Then he tore his ACL and didn't do much on the Bears.
Yeah, that's what happens after you tear your ACL and then play bad. After
Yeah.
you go through 2.5 years of playing like trash, your ADP falls. That's what happens.
Dude,
Darren Waller didn't tear his ACL and play like trash. He's coming off
he
of a
was on
tight
drug
end.
suspension.
He was
You make
coming
it
off
so
a tight
hard
end
to believe
3
that
season. He
Darren-
just signed the second biggest
I
contract
just
for a
don't
tight
get
end
why it's so
before.
hard for you to believe that Darren Waller's a 1-year wonder.
It's
He thrives in that offense.
You
That's
have-
my issue.
I have
He
no-
was
was
the
getting
only
so many.
target last year.
You-
Terrell Pryor thrived
But-
with the
so
Browns.
two
He was
new-
the
Derek
only
Carr loves
target.
to throw it to
So
him.
2 new rookie wide receivers are gonna, one more known for his rawness than anything in Henry Ruggs, than his refinement, is just gonna come in and take over Darren Waller.
Dude, Jared,
because Henry
Jared
Ruggs is
Cooks
more refined
was
than you're giving him
startable
credit
on
for.
Oakland.
I think that
You're making Henry Ruggs seem like he's coming in as like a Darius Hayward Bay.
No,
or
I'm
like a
not.
John Ross.
No, I did not say
He's
that.
a better
Hey,
route runner with better hands than
whoa.
all of those
Settle
guys.
down on John Ross.
Oh my god.
John-
Shots fired.
Listen.
Adam just picked up John Ross in
Listen.
our Dynasty League.
John Ross is a spectacular player.
I think he's a solid
Okay.
buy because he's in the last year of his
He's
Okay.
he is a remarkable, not just a deep threat. He is a great route runner.
Is that why they didn't pick up
He
his
has
5th year?
he had
He's
more
bad hands? Bad
he
hands.
had more drops.
He has bad hands.
In his 6 games he played last year.
He
than
has
Henry
bad
Ruggs
hands.
had in all of his college career.
He has bad hands. He has bad hands. I would take Henry Ruggs 1,000 times out of 1,000 over John
hope.
Ross.
I hope.
I'm just saying, don't compare John Ross to someone who's not refined because he's a great route runner. He does a lot of things well except for stay healthy and catch.
And play.
I would say catching is a big part of being a refined wide receiver.
Okay. Listen, these 3 teams that are at 8 wins, 7.5, 7.5. Vegas basically has Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, dead even. Who do you think is going to emerge of the muddled water down between those 3?
I think the Broncos. 'cause
Raiders.
The Broncos defense is legit.
I got the Chargers. The Chargers defense is legit. They got maybe the best D-line in all football.
Maybe. I think Von Miller's going to have a monster bounce back here, though.
Yeah. I think Joey Bosa is going to have the best year.
I
Any
could see
defensive
that. I
lineman,
think
maybe.
the Raiders just have
The best.
such a solid all-around team.
Yeah.
Speaking of interdivision battles, I think there's two young QBs that go head-to-head pretty well in this. Who do you guys want moving forward, Dynasty in the future?
Firstly, let me say before Drew starts spouting off about Drew Lock, of his 11, 20
You didn't even let me finish the question.
Go ahead.
Who are you? You're just gonna start randomly talking about your answer when the viewers listeners don't even know the question.
I guess, yeah, the listeners don't know. I know.
Yeah, that's called show prep. So, the Denver Broncos quarterback, second-year quarterback Drew Lock, or Justin Herbert, first-round draft pick by the Chargers. Who do you guys want moving forward? Vasso, I'll let you take it.
Drew Lock, he has a small sample size, firstly. So this stat is not everything. I did think he struggled on deep balls, so I did a little digging. Of his 11 attempts of over 20 yards, only 3 were completed for 96 yards and a score. One of them was also picked off. Obviously, if he's going to be a top 10 quarterback, he's got to at least have some sort of consistency on his deep ball. So, for me, Drew Lock is just, I love the guy. I think he's a tremendous player. I don't see him ever breaking into that quarterback, like one true guy that you need on your squad. I don't think he's ever going to be one of the top quarterbacks. That's another reason why I sold him. Herbert, the jury's still out on him. He's coming into a good offense. Give me Herbert for this year. And
for this year?
Oh, I guess not this year. Give me Herbert for Dynasty.
Yeah, because who knows even if Herbert's going to play this year.
Yeah, that's true.
If I was in 100 Dynasty leagues, in all 100, I would take Drew Lock over Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is
commitment.
Justin Herbert is the type of, like, you compared him to Josh Allen, but not as athletic. So he's not going to be able to rush for 600 yards like Josh Allen. Josh Allen's not a good passer because he's really inaccurate. So all of his fantasy value comes off his rushing. I think Justin Herbert is going to be Josh Allen, but without the rushing.
Okay.
I don't think he wasn't an accurate passer at a one read spread offense at Oregon, which doesn't bode well for his NFL experience because Oregon does not have a good track record with quarterbacks. I thought Marcus Mariota was going to be really good because of how good he was at Oregon. But Justin Herbert's going to that same offense and wasn't nearly as good with all the expectations Marcus Mariota, albeit they're different types of quarterbacks. But I think I'm not a fan of the quarterbacks, and we talked about this in the last episode. I like the quarterbacks that have NFL-ready traits when it comes to accuracy and timing with throws, which is what Joe Burrow and Tua have, which is why they were so much higher than Justin Herbert. I'm not a fan of quarterbacks who come in with really strong arms, which is weird because that's how Drew Lock was.
Yeah.
But Drew Lock did show some promise his rookie year, and I wasn't a fan of him his rookie year. I didn't like him until this offseason.
He also increased in accuracy every year in college.
Yeah.
His completion percentage.
I'm not a big fan of the quarterbacks who come in with just strong arms, and that's their trait. Like, there's some quarterbacks that make it work. Stafford made it work.
Stafford is more than just a strong arm.
That's true.
Yeah, Stafford definitely has touch now.
That's true. Mahomes was kind of like that, but Mahomes is obviously nobody thought he was going to be as good as he is now.
Yeah.
A lot of quarterbacks that are like that just don't pan out. Like, Jamarcus Russell didn't pan out.
Yeah.
Josh Freeman didn't pan out. I'm not saying Justin Herbert's not going to pan out. I just think his bust rate is so high for his skill set. I don't want to focus that kind of player.
Yeah, I think I would take Lock as well. It's tough. But just because I don't know, I didn't love the offense that I thought Oregon ran with Justin Herbert. It seemed like it was either check down and it was either like a screen route or it was him first read, few step drop, or he was running the ball. I didn't see him going through progressions quickly, which is maybe the most important attribute as an NFL quarterback is having a quick processor. I think Locke has that more ready NFL passer, like you were saying, Drew. It's tough, though. It's a toss-up. Herbert does present a better rushing floor, and I think he's going to be able to rush. You don't think he's going to be a great rusher compared to Josh Allen. I think he's going to be similar rusher to Josh Allen. He's not like Cam Newton, Josh Allen, going to run you over, jump over you, be a way better athlete, but he's sneaky fast, and he's more willing to run, I think, than he should be. So, I don't know. I think I'll take Locke, but I think they're very close. It's a good debate to have for sure.
I love that the NBA's on every day. I love watching games all day. That's pretty awesome. The Lakers are.
Yeah, Drew, we got a
trash.
$20 bet on that.
We do, because the Blazers are going to win.
Okay.
Drew, you could have got better odds online, but that's neither here nor there.
I tried getting better odds yesterday, and Adam was scared to bet.
Look, it's about the courage of your convictions, as my friend Skip Bayless would say. That's what it's about. When you are,
Oh, my God.
you can't make outlandish
You
opinions.
are Skip Bayless.
Everybody in our group chat is sitting there saying the Blazers are going to beat the Lakers. Literally half of the people in our 12-person group chat are saying the Blazers are going to beat the
They're
Lakers.
not your standard 8 seed.
So I agree. So I offered out the bet to anybody. Literally nobody took it because
I
that means
jumped on it.
nobody at 5 to
2
1
people
odds.
took it.
Yeah, for $10.
Why would I bet at 5 to 1 odds that a pretty good team is going to beat a really good team?
It's about the courage of your convictions.
Yeah.
No,
you
because
were
I
courageous.
wasn't saying that the Lakers are going to for sure. I was saying that the Lakers are going to beat the Blazers, meaning giving me even odds, I'm going to take the Lakers. Giving me 1 to 5 odds, I'm not going to take the Lakers. There's no win in there for
His
me.
convictions are so weak.
But
Extremely
when
weak.
the
They're like
Blazers go
Phillip
up
Rivers
1 to
noodle
nothing
arm.
and everybody's spouting off saying, oh, the Blazers are going to win, Drew did take the bet, so I'm proud of him. But
Yeah.
nobody else wanted to.
Before we go, what's your guys' bold prediction for this division?
I mean, can I just say that Mike Williams is the wide receiver 1 on the Chargers?
Where do you think he's going to finish the year?
Well, okay. Where do I think he's going to finish the year? I don't know, like wide receiver 20. My bold call,
Gross.
wide receiver 20, wide receiver 24, somewhere around, low end wide receiver 2. Somewhere like probably some more catches, probably like 70 catches, maybe 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns instead of 3 or whatever he had. I'm going to say his upside, though, is something like 75, 80 catches, like 13, 1,200 yards, and like 12 touchdowns. So I think he's got top 12 upside. I don't know that Tyrod the God and Justin Herbert can help him achieve that upside, but I don't know. My bold call is that Mike Williams emerges as the wide receiver 1 to own on the Chargers.
My bold call is that Justin Jackson emerges as the running back 1 to own on the Chargers.
Ooh.
I think he's a better rusher than Eckler, and I think it's going to show this year.
I disagree. I think Eckler's a really, really good football player.
I think a lot of Eckler's rushing came because he was playing the third down back role where he had the option to either.
A lot of his 500 yards rushing, he had no
Well,
rushing.
yeah,
he can
that's-
only
I'm-
go up rushing from here on out.
I meant a lot of his efficiency rushing, I should say.
No, it's because Melvin Gordon was taking a lot of his work away. he might
and
go
when
down
he
in
didn't last year,
efficiency.
his efficiency went down by a whole yard per carry.
That's fine. His efficiency can go down. It's fantasy. We don't need efficient. We need high
We
volume.
need
Prefer
carries,
efficient
Drew.
players. A very efficient player is Henry Ruggs, who's going to finish as a top
Oh,
15.
God, here we go.
Top 15
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
That means
80 catches, 1,100
that means
yards.
1,000 easy.
80 catches, 1,100 yards, 8
Oh
touchdowns.
my
All right.
God.
We should
No offense,
sign
also-
off, and
no
I'll
offense.
cut that part out.
Noah Fant's also a top
Jeez,
3 tight end this year.
Oh my God.
Behind Kittle and Kelsey. Did Noah Fant.
Okay. Do you want to? Let's.
guys are
let's do this,
sleeping on
Drew.
Noah Fant,
let's,
man.
Let's make a bet. A third down punt bet.
What is the
A
third down
national
bet?
one?
Darren Waller versus Noah Fant. Who
finishes higher?
Higher next season.
I'll bet anything you want.
$10.
Okay, let's bet $10.
Okay,
We'll
let's
shake
bet
on that.
$10.
That's our second bet we made on the show. What was our other one?
I don't remember. But we could. We'll
We're
run
gonna
the tape
have to go to the archives.
Run it
here.
back.
Maybe one of the viewers can let us know.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for listening.
That's
here.
embarrassing that you
Another
think that Noah
fantastic
Fant is going to be a
episode.
top 3 tight end.
He is.
That's such a joke.
I know. I think Chris Herndon's going to be a top 5 tight end.
my God.
If we're just throwing names out there, if we're just putting anybody in there we
Herndon.
want.
Well, Chris Herndon, come on.
He has like 4 DUIs in like his 2 NFL seasons.
Hey, he's a
And
good
he's
sleeper.
still on a team.
Hey, I think I've got an empty roster spot. I need to add a player, so I'm going to
Oh,
take to the waiver wire.
check if Herndon's there.
He's not.